Alright, so in this video I'm going to be going over on how exactly you can use cold emails as well as automated LinkedIn outreach to scale your B2B company or B2B SaaS company, whatever sort of company you've got, but making sure it's B2B. And all you can do is just use the specific channels and get more qualified leads, meetings, demos, whatever you want to name it, SQLs. You can just generate that just by using these two specific automated system, that is the cold outreach through cold emails, and the secondly is the LinkedIn outreach. And I'm simply going to be covering that on how exactly you can replicate the same process that we simply use at Leadamax for our clients. And for those who don't know what Leadamax actually is, basically we do done for you LinkedIn outreach, cold email outreach, Twitter outreach. So done for you cold outreach for B2B companies, and also I've got another company, Leadamax. From this you can just scrape unlimited lead lists for less than your coffee budget. But that was a quick proof of concept. And also for those who don't know, I'm the founder and CEO of both of these companies. And if you want to search up the results, our testimonies and all that, you can scroll up the website and check all the reviews, the results, so on and so forth. But anyways, in this specific video, I'm going to be covering the exact process and the blueprint. You can just literally copy paste that and you can just get the results. That's how simple it is. But anyways, that being said, I'm going to be covering the exact process, a step-by-step breakdown, and which is actually going to be covering every single aspect about cold email as well as for LinkedIn outreach. And secondly, I'm also going to be covering on why exactly this matters. At the end of the day, everybody wants more leads, more revenue into the pipeline, and based on that they want to scale their company, probably have a really great IPO exit, or based on that, just kind of scale their company, so on and so forth, or even just sell it any day. Well, anyways, that being said, if you talk about cold email, right? So first of all is the go-to-market setup on what your ICPs, who you're targeting, based on that, what the ICPs, also to mention that, what are the pain points, what are the solutions putting on the table. So that is what we're going to be covering. Secondly, we want to be covering the tech setup, the domains, mailboxes, how to set up the DNS, DMARC and all that, and based on that, take it from there to basically send out those cold emails. Thirdly is the lead generation part, which actually includes the copywriting, the lead list building, and based on that, we just want to set up the smart lead account or whatever sending tool you want to prefer. And the fourthly is appointment setting. You've done all the efforts. You've sent out the cold email, you've set up the go-to-market structure, and you have set up the copywriting, the lead list building and all that. Now you've got a positive reply, and now you simply want to book them in for your meeting, right? That is, of course, you're going to be Calendly, cal.com, whatever you use. So that being said, if we talk about go-to-market setup, first of all, you want to clearly define your value proposition statement. What you're putting on the table, what problems are you solving, and what solutions you're presenting, right? First of all, whenever you're building a company, you want to make sure what problem that specific individual or B2B company has got and what exactly you're solving. That's how simple it is. Then you want to outline who exactly is it for. Is it for, let's say, enterprise owners? Is it for, let's say, CEO, founder, CMO, or is it for B2C customers? Of course, with B2C, specific cold emails won't work, right? You can't just find their personal emails, but of course, if they have got any sort of work emails, that will surely work. Then you want to be using email as a channel. If I just simply click on this image, as I mentioned previously, clearly define the value proposition statement, clearly define who you are targeting and who your product is for, right? Then thirdly is you want to channel them directly to reach those qualified leads. And this is the only three aspects that you actually need to simply define the complete go-to-market strategy. Now, if we talk about specifically for ICP building, I've made a little chart, more like a workflow. But anyways, first of all, you want to define the industry. Secondly, you want to define the company size. Is it specifically for SMB company, enterprise company? Who exactly is it for? And thirdly, you want to define the company revenue. You want to target those companies who's got a revenue of 50K plus, below 50K, so on and so forth, depending on what sort of value proposition you've got and what is the average order value, what exactly you're selling and what's the pricing structure like, so on and so forth. Now, fourthly, you want to target the company location. Why is it really important? Whether you target Asia, whether you target Europe, whether you target just UK, Canada, whatever. So we want to define the majority of the B2B companies, they just target European side, let's say UK, Canada, US, so on and so forth. Then the relevant job titles, you want to find that out. Is it for CEO, founder, co-founder? what are the job titles you want to target. Now, you can also, these are some optional steps you can do, but you want to find out which sort of technologies they're using. Let's suppose you've got CRM. All right, let's take an example of CRM. Your CRM is Breckhold. You want to find out those companies who are using HubSpot. So you're going to be extracting all those leads, and you can just use Leadamax for that. Built with subscription, unlimited, and you can literally get built with subscription for less than a coffee budget. But anyways, you want to find those companies who are using XYZ technologies, right? Based on that, you can just leverage that, add into copywriting, something like that. Hey there, saw that you're using HubSpot. What if you could do XXX features and Breakhold can solve that? Want a quick demo? That's how simple it is. Then, as I mentioned previously, you want to find out the current challenges each specific job title is facing, because it really depends. CEO, they might be looking to increase the company's efficiency. CRO, Chief Revenue Officer, they might be looking to add more revenue. Chief Marketing Officer, they might be looking to get more traffic. So it really depends on every single job title. Then, of course, why exactly they're facing these challenges? Is it because the company hasn't got more efficiency? Is it because they're not making much revenue? So on and so forth. And then this is the solution part. What exactly they should be doing instead? Should they be using your platform, your service, your software company, whatever, right? And based on that, you guys are going to be presenting the solution. And this is literally how you make the perfect ICP. And this is the exact blueprint. Whenever we want to make an ICP for our client, we just use the process. Even if they have any, we kind of take into consideration and make a new one and simply mismatch together to make sure we're finding the perfect one. Then comes the part of defining the value proposition statement, right? So first of all, this basically includes your product, so on and so forth, right? What is your product? What are the services you're offering? So on and so forth. And then who is it for? As I mentioned previously, in the ICP, it basically covers who exactly is it for. Then what is the idea behind it? Why exactly you kind of built out the product? Is there a specific problem you were facing or that specific individual was facing and you wanted to solve it? So that is something you want to put on the table. And fourthly, what problems does it solve? As I mentioned previously, in the ICP, we covered that. And what are the unique selling points? Now, if I take example of Leadamax, our unique selling point is unlimited lead list for less than a coffee budget. That's the offer. So which means that even the top cold email gurus they uses, right? So that is something we're presenting on the table. That is a unique selling point. First of all, it's unlimited, no credits, nothing like that, and it's less than the coffee budget, which means the price is really affordable. And then the features and benefits, you want to list that out, and also alternative solutions of competitors which are not effective. Just like these, there's like Apollo and all that, but that is includes credits, includes it's expensive. So these are alternate solutions people can use, but those are just not really affordable, and based on that they're not effective. Then you want to mention out what makes you different. So what exactly makes us different is we offer unlimited lead list for less than your coffee budget, and then you want to use the process you use to deliver results. For us, I'm going to take an example. All you guys have to do, put a DM in Slack, we scrape up the lead list, we give you the lead list. That's how simple it is. And as I mentioned previously, what's the idea behind it and why should people buy it? Because first of all, you are going to be making sure they're not spending a lot of money on just subscriptions that are not even worth it, right? Then based on that, they can simply use us and simply get built with Story, Galaka, so on and so forth subscription for less than the coffee budget. And that is exactly how you craft the perfect value proposition statement. And this is literally all the details you need to kind of get started with the go-to-market strategy. That's how simple it is. Now, coming back to the point of the tech setup, which is the second most important part. In the tech setup, it's super simple, but of course you want to make sure everything is aligned with each other. I want to put on the point, if there's even one single thing that's actually missing, you're not going to book meetings. Reason being, because let's suppose we have crafted the ICP, but I have just kind of skipped the warm-up settings, right? I haven't warmed up my domains and mailboxes. It means my deliverability is just going to die down, and that is the only reason why my emails will be landing into spam, and it's not going to be landing into the main prospect inbox. So first of all, set up the smart lead account for automated email sending. Of course, you can't just reach out to prospect and kind of simply copy pasting the email, clicking on send again and again and again. So you want to make sure you are setting up the smart lead account instantly, whatever you want to choose. Now, secondly, you want to purchase 50 secondary domains for pork bun, right? You can use pork bun, Namecheap, GoDaddy, whatever, but we just prefer pork bun, right? This is the minimum you want to get started with 50 secondary domains. I'm going to give you an example. Let's suppose my main domain is leadamax.com. If I just search that up, it's going to show something like this, leadamax.com. But even if I try get leadamax.com, it's going to simply open the same landing page. Reason being, because I have redirected my secondary domain to my main domain. That's how simple it is. Then you want to redirect that, and also you want to buy 100 Google Workspace accounts. It's either you can use one domain for 2 mailboxes, or you can use one domain for 3 mailboxes. That's the max you should be going for. Then upload that into Smart Lead, set up the DNS DMARC and all that, and just warm them up for 2 weeks straight, right? That is how simple it is. And then coming back to the point of lead generation, now this is the third most important and really significant point. Now in this point, first of all, we're going to be using our go-to-market strategy, defining the ICP value proposition statement. Based on that, we're going to be building out the lead list, doing the copywriting and all that. So that being said, you've already defined the ICP, right? The ideal customer profile. You've already defined the perfect value proposition statement. Who is it for? What problems are you solving? And what solutions you're presenting on the table. Now, third important point is using all those factors, combine all those factors, and based on that, build out your lead list. And a quick plugin, you can just use Leadamax to kind of just scrape unlimited lead lists for less than your coffee budget. And that is really, just a quick example. But you want to segment your lead list down. So let's suppose you just target B2B SaaS companies. You want to segment it down based on B2B MarTech SaaS companies, FinTech SaaS companies, ad tech, so on and so forth. You want to segment down based on industries, the revenue, the employee size, segment it down. Now, this is something really important I want to talk about. Write the email scripts and always sell outcome. Let's suppose you're a web development agency, right? And based on that, you sell web development, website services and all that. If you write an email and say, hey there, I can make your brand new website, that's it. People are just not going to be interested in whatever you're selling. But if you write something like this, hey there, if I can redesign your website and just guarantee you that you can get X amount of more leads, X amount more conversions, would you be interested in have a quick chat about it? That's how simple it is. In this, you're not selling website, you're selling them the outcome, which is the leads, which is more conversions, so on and so forth. Then you want to launch those campaigns, generate new financially qualified leads, and simply book them in for a meeting. Now, the last most important part of the whole cold emails and all that is going to be the appointment setting. You've done all the efforts, you've done everything perfectly fine. You sent out a cold email, you made the lead list, you've done the go-to-market strategy, the copywriting. Now you just want to book them in for appointment. So you want to be responding back to leads not 30 minutes, not 20 minutes, within 5 minutes. Because these busy executives, they're not waiting for your email all day, right? As soon as you get a reply from them, you want to reply back to them within 5 minutes, right? Because they have got a set time to clear their inbox, then they're going to come another day, and so on and so forth. That email is just going to be delayed, it's going to hop off their mind, so on and so forth. But anyways, instead of just sending your calendar link, you want to coordinate a date and time. Just tell them a date and time. Hey there, I've got 11 p.m. EST, 12 a.m. EST, so on and so forth. Just tell them the time, and based on they're going to choose, you already have their email, the first name, the last name, and their email, the phone number. Just use that and take it from there. And of course, the prospect shows up at the meeting, and make sure you set up your reminders, your follow-up sequence, so that those prospects, they never miss the meeting, because you want to make sure your show up rate is really good. It should be somewhere about 70 to 90%. That is the number you should be looking for. If it's below than that, you should be working on that. Now, this is literally the whole setup about cold emails, how you want to set up the cold emails. Now, if I specifically talk about LinkedIn outreach, the difference between cold email and LinkedIn outreach is super simple. Cold email, you need to do out volume, right? You need to send more volume. But of course, there is a chance if you haven't set up the DMARC and all that correctly, your emails will land into spam. For LinkedIn, deliverability is not an issue. But of course, it's an expensive setup, right? It's an expensive setup. There's a lot of moving parts in it. You want to make sure everything is combined together, right? So how you want to set up? First of all, you want to buy secondary profiles. Never use your main LinkedIn profile. I've done that mistake, and I have been officially banned from LinkedIn. But anyways, now I have got my secondary LinkedIn profiles. I buy other profiles, set it up. It's like $200-300 a month. Then you can get started with 5 to 10 profiles initially. Now you want to add proxies. And also I want to mention, with these profiles, they never get restricted, right? They have got a document you want to follow. First day you want to send 5 to 10 connections. Second day 10 to 20, 30, 40, so on and so forth, right? But maximum we just go for 25 connections a day, right? Within 14 days we warm them up, and time by time we increase the limit daily, right? If you just follow this, you will never kind of allow the profile to be banned, because you're following the restrictions, you're following all the policies of LinkedIn, so on and so forth, right? With the proxies, you want to set up the proxies. Then you want to add all those profiles and proxies into AdPower, and also you want to set up your IP address, because you just can't use one single IP address for 10, 20 profiles. LinkedIn is just going to restrict yourself, right? Then you want to set up the profiles and just set up the sending tool, whether you want to use Pros, Payreach, Lemlist, whatever. And if I just give you a quick example, let's suppose this is an example, 2 profiles connected over here. These are for the Twitter profiles. These are not for the LinkedIn. But anyways, just giving you guys a random example. Now, that is what you want to be setting up for infra setup. Now, if we talk about lead list building, first of all, you want to export the lead list from LinkedIn Sales Nav, and whether you can use whether you can use the followers, any specific profile's follower, and the search URL, so on and so forth. You want to export the lead list. There are a couple of tools out there, you can just use that. And if you talk about copywriting, I personally like to use Pros. If I just open my set, so this is my Pros profile. This is what I use for myself as well as for my clients. So visit the LinkedIn profile, send the connection request. Based on that, send the LinkedIn message, send LinkedIn voice note. This is personalized, so you just have to record the voice note once, and every time it's going to change the first name. Hey, first name, saw that, XYZ offer, and then wait for 3 days, send LinkedIn message, wait for 4 days, send another follow-up message. That's how simple it is. But anyways, getting back to the point, you want to be doing copywriting, and I personally, as I mentioned, like to use Prosp, and I can just use AI personalized voice messages at scale, right? So this is, let me just open it up. So this is one, I have to just record it once, and that's how simple it is. I'm going to say, hey, first name, saw that, you're following Eric Novoslavsky, saw that you're following Moisquorum, and I believe you're into cold emails. Would you be interested in XYZ offer? That's how simple it is. But anyways, as I mentioned previously, with this specific one, appointment setting, you want to simply respond back to them within 5 minutes, book them in your calendar, and that's literally it. And now I want to get to the point why exactly this all matters. You've done everything and you've done all the efforts. Of course, it's a really lengthy process. You want to make sure all the parts are kind of automated and so on and so forth. But that's why Leadamax is for. If you want to have basically book a call about Leadamax and doing the done for you service for you, you can just book a call. Leadamax.com, that is the link. Also, I'm going to leave this specific document in the description, comments, wherever you're seeing this specific video, right? You can just have a look. But anyways, why exactly this matters? First of all, with paid ads, you guys have to invest a lot. It's somewhere about, if you're selling, let's say your average order value is somewhere about $2,000. You guys have to invest more than $2,500 to get one client. Then based on that, if they hop in a retainer, then you can recover that cost back. But this process is just super affordable. That's how simple it is. It's affordable, it's time consuming if you're doing it alone. But first of all, you book more demos, right? Based on that, you close new customers, then you get the results for those customers, you create case studies for that. Just like with Leadamax, we have created case studies for that. You can go through that if you want. But anyways, you get those case studies, you leverage to hold authority that you are the market leader and that you literally know what you're doing, right? Then you book more demos and the cycle goes on and on and on. If I have like 100 and 200 case studies over here, of course I'm going to be booking more demos, I'm going to be having more customers. People are going to feel like this guy can surely deliver results and take it from there. That's how simple it is, and this is why it all matters. And of course, if you want to book a call to just specifically discuss the done for you scaling a B2B company, and in that call we're just going to be discussing where you are, what are the exact problems you're facing, and how you want to grow your company, and what exactly you're looking forward to take your business to, right? Where exactly you want to take your business, and that's literally it. This is what exactly we're going to be discussing. And you might have a question about pricing. How does pricing work? So we work on expectations and goals basis. It doesn't matter how many emails we send. All that matters is how many demos we've booked, how many meetings we've booked, and how much revenue is generated. That's what we actually work on, and that's what we're looking forward to bring you on the table. You can book a demo. The specific document will be in description. comments, threads. You can just check it out, and hopefully you'll find this video really helpful about how the process works. And as always, I'm steering for far, and I'm always rooting for you. Cheers.